Om Shanti. Good morning. A special meeting, a special day, a special month we are having. Fortunate we are to be in the company of such wonderful Jews, such lovely role models Baba has given us. So today we thought, along with remembering Baba, we'll remember a very special jewel of Baba. So the month of August, we all remember as the month of Dadi Prakashmani. That's a wonderful, it's not a paradox, but I think a wonderful secret in the drama that, Baba says, only remember me, only remember me, only think about me, Mami kam yaad man mana bhav. But along with that, to grow towards that path, as is human nature, as drama is created, as is human life, as the soul progresses, we are so accustomed to each other. We need each other to grow. We need each other to bounce off ideas. We need to see each other. We need to learn from each other. So again, we are so fortunate that Baba has given us, and we have been able to be in, perhaps walk the same earth as some great, great, great Mahan Tapasvi yogis that of course we later know they get devoted, become the idols that people worship in such a lovely way, with such reverence, but also with a sense of distance. My idols are very distant. As much as in bhakti I might love Krishna, I might love whoever my God is, I still feel they are very up there, far away, and I am here on this earth plane, kind of like a mere mortal, and they are not so much that. So we are so fortunate that Baba has shown us what is possible and a few special Jews have shown us what is beyond humanly possible. Dadi Prakashmani, some of us might have met her, seen her in the physical realm as well, Saka form. I'll share my personal story. Dadi's got such incredible qualities, such incredible stories you hear of Dadi, and you help wonder, where did that soul develop such love for God and such self-respect? Janki Dadi often says, I've often seen Mama, of course, she would refer to Mama as well, but she said, Prakashmani Dadi, I saw she was always stable in her self-respect. She always had her self-respect, flying. Such would have been her previous births, as a continuation of the 5,000 years that she kept her stage so high up. Excuse me, that it was kind of immediate for her. She was one of the few dadis, of course there were many others, but she was one of the few dadis that did not have too much baggage. Suppose she didn't need too much clearing, and that's a great karma to have as well. Again, not discounting anyone that doesn't have that, but she had such lovely karma that even before she came into Gyan, I think it was a mother or father that encouraged her to become Meera, and her father was an astrologer. So we all know those stories, but what wonderful karma she must have done. Even if we see, when we all give exams and papers, we see that there are a few students who, everyone's giving the same exam paper, but then there are a few students who like to do the easy ones first and then say, oh, we'll think about the tough exams, the tough questions later. But then, of course, that soul must have had the wisdom filled in her soul throughout, that she knew that whatever comes, and I think that was probably one of the biggest strengths that I really love, that, whatever comes, she would try and nip it in the bud, not try and wait until it became a big deal, not wait until people started commenting on it. Whenever she noticed something, as they say, Samajhdar ko ishara kafi. And devtas don't need to be instructed. They don't need that much. So I think Dadi was an embodiment and a great example, in her own Purusharth as well. So now we can sit here now, having known Dadi, having seen her example after, with a trajectory from 1937 when she came 36, 37 until 2007 when she became a Vyakt. So we see the final stage and we go, wow, Dadi. But, Dadi was so pure and so innocent and so honest, and she was like an open book. She shared her journey. She had a trajectory going up, 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 which all of us do as well. But she was kind enough and she was humble enough. And she was perhaps saw all of us as one of her. She saw all of us as her companions. She saw all of us as her friends, more than her students or more than someone she needed to teach. She really taught with example. She really set the path, but she was also very honest in sharing her journey as well. All of us go through our weaknesses and dharnas, and we work on them. So we are on an upward journey, but Dadi would also be mindful that if she noticed something within herself, she instantly picked it up and thought it's the time to change. How do I clean this out in me? We always notice little things in ourselves as well, and it's easy for us to sometimes, perhaps it's fear sometimes, or perhaps it's conditioning that we want things to be big, or I want someone else to come and tell me, okay, this is wrong in you, you're too fearful, you're too angry, you're too meek, you're too sad. So then we work on it. But I think the incredible ones, and that it really showed, and she would share, the fact that she loved getting up at 2 a.m. She loved meeting Baba, and it was just a pure, I think Dadi would say that it was that time, it wasn't an obligation. Remembering Baba wasn't an obligation. It wasn't a punishment. It wasn't just a cleansing tool. It wasn't a washing machine time for her. It was, like a lot of bhakti would do, or a lot of us even would, we want to use Baba for certain things. We want to use Baba. Okay, I have sadness. Okay, I have certain sanskars. So I would use Baba for certain things to cleanse them out in me. But then she also, I think it's a subconscious way as well, like to go deep into, consciously I will only see a few things in my life. This needs to be fixed, that needs to be fixed. But then the subconscious is always giving us signs. So if you sit in remembrance, but she would, I think in the early days, they would all naturally wake up. Later it became we had to put alarms on, and we had to instill the discipline in us to get up. But Dadi would share they would naturally wake up at 1:30, 2 o'clock too, because the pull of that love, the pull of that power was so strong that they couldn't resist. So Dadi said, they would all wake up, especially in the early days, and I think much later as well. But then also along with that, filling myself, having my aim, what did Baba say today, and being very sincere. So she was, of course, a very sincere student, where she had to, perhaps I would say it was a pure desire, like I want to grab everything Baba's given me. I want to see what Baba wants me to do in life. And along with that, there was a lot of innocence as well, because of course, coming as a child and living in a very protected environment, then there are certain qualities that you have, but there are certain qualities that you are yet to develop. So there was a lot of innocence in that as well. And she would develop them, but she would very much be an instrument through that. So, anyone would say, Dadi, you've done great. And Dadi would many times say, Ki aap log jo bhi bolo, whatever you say, but I know Baba's getting it done. And I think every BK in the world says that. But it has to be a practice. It's not something, it's just not a verbatim that I say, okay, Baba's making me getting it done. I'm the instrument, which we are. But I think the more work you do, and that truth that I am the instrument, because it's very easy for, if I pick up a pen and I'll write something, I say, I've written it. And that's from a spiritual point of view, it's a simple line, right? I picked up a pen, I wrote something. But if you're going deeper into spirituality, and I think with Dadi, she was very nimit, that you have to be in touch with it on the depths level, not just on the word level that Baba made me do it, but also have a bit of a trust, but also be able to have a very clean and clear intellect, because you will only know you're the true instrument when you also know, when you're clear that you're the one who's doing it. Because there's a stark difference. When I do something, we can blatantly paste Baba did it, Baba did it, Baba did it in every place, which is not bad. But if we are truly in tune and our intellect is clean and clear, and we can pick up the subtle vibrations, you will truly know when it is you doing it and when it's Baba doing it, or Baba getting it done through you. So I think Dadi was very attuned to that. And of course, a lot of things, because Dadi's projects were huge, the administration she undertook, the projects she overtook, and how the yagya grew under her administration. But she was very, again, because if I say something like I'm the instrument, मैं तो निमित्त हूँ, does it come from a place of truth? And that truth can only come, and Dadi worked on it every day to be very attuned with the vibrations of what's getting done. I'm very attuned, Dadi was very attuned to the vibrations of God. What does God feel like? How does he operate? How does he get things done? Even in the world, people say, Bhagwan ne karaya, God gets everything done. But when is it truly God getting it done? Is only when you're finally attuned to what is my vibration. I have a Kalyugi vibration, then I have a perfect form, and then all of that is inside my subconscious as well. But when is it Baba getting it done? So Dadi, I think, was very highly attuned to that, and that comes with practice. Leaving aside the body age of a 16-year-old coming into meditation, but then the soul's journey, what she needed and what she wanted, and she grabbed. Baba will often say, a lovely, lovely song. I think everyone loves that filmy song, Don't Forget the Days of Your Childhood. So what was it that attracted me the very first day? So I think Dadi was one of those instant ones. And I think Dadi shared that when she first came, she had visions that when she saw Brahma Baba first, she couldn't see Brahma Baba, she only saw Krishna. And I think for a few weeks for a long period of time, she said, I couldn't see Baba. And she just saw that. So that was her personal experience. She perhaps held on to that. And then also being, Nimit Nirman, that was her qualities, very in showing the world as well. There was an incident, I think we even shared, there was a time when everyone takes their shoes off when you go into class, or when you go into the room, and sometimes you can see the aptitude of a person, or the state of mind of a person, and even how they take their shoes off. So there was a time when there's a little incident. There was a bunch of young sisters had come for class, and probably might have been raining, so their shoes were muddy, and when they walked, they just kind of, and little children throw their shoes here and there. And if you're a bit more, calm, you will place them nicely, aligned with one or the other. So this particular time when the sisters came, there were shoes everywhere, and someone would complain that, to see how the sisters have just kind of muddy shoes everywhere. They have no respect, one shoe there, one shoe there. They're not showing respect for Baba's home. They don't think that, they should look for it. So Dadi had a very unique way to also teach people, to also inspire people. And again, I think that comes from the foundation of not looking down on anyone. And that again comes from having the curiosity to learn. Human nature, every single creature, even the worst of the worst, can teach us so much. But it's useful for me when I have it's easy for me to make a comment. I'm not a news channel, but that's what we do all day, isn't it? This person did that person did that. Why did they do that? Useless debates. But as a wise person, which Dadi really showed, what can I learn from that? being really attuned with what can I learn, what's in it for me. So selfish is not a nice word, but being very mindful of my time. I can spend half an hour commenting on someone, which might not be wrong. My intention might be to help them. It might not be wrong, but then have I gained something from it, and have they gained something from it? So Dadi was very, very fine, and then later those become stories but the way of living is the core foundation is which energy do I operate from? What life decisions, foundations have I laid for myself, and how do I grow from them? Because you also have to be very mindful of the time you have. There's plenty of time. Baba's given us plenty of time, but then there's also so much time. So how much do I want to learn? How much do I want to learn? How much do I want to read? So back to that shoe example, there's shoes everywhere, this and that. And of course, anyone around the Brahmanis, and they will say, look, they have no sense, they need to be taught, which is what any mother, any sensible BK, we think that's what we need to do. We sit them down and say, look, this is not how you put shoes, and there's a way of teaching, and they will say, do this and do that, and you can also do that, which is perhaps not wrong. But what Dadi did, not in front of everyone. So when everyone had gone to sleep, she would quietly come, because there's virtue in when you're doing things quietly as well. She would show a lot as well. She quietly came in the night, just got a rag, a piece of cloth. She sat down and she cleaned each shoe. So got all the mud off, and then she just aligned them nicely. So that's another way to teach someone, isn't it? You've given exactly the same instruction. What did they need it to be taught? That the mud needs to be cleaned off. It should not go everywhere. So clean your shoes, put them nicely in a line. That's what we needed to teach. There's various ways to teach that. You can yell at someone, you can scream at someone, you can have an argument with someone, you can teach them nicely, you can speak to them nicely, you can give them a nice sweet lecture. Adi just came down and she cleaned the shoes and she put them nicely. So that got the vibration that needed to go, that needed to be taught. So it got done. There was another time when there was discords happen, arguments happen, sometimes, not always by choice, sometimes it's sanskars, or sometimes it's just a purely administrative issue. So there was a time when there were two big didis, and I think Kablesh shared that from Bhubaneswar. She was saying that, there was two senior sisters that are having a bit of an argument or a discord. So they're, not being very nice. So, Dadi got to know about that. So in that particular instant, and Dadi was very creative as well, how she would say, and Dadi loved parties. She would, any drop of the hat, she would say, let's have a samosa party. Let's go have ice cream, and that was her way of getting everyone together in the zeal and enthusiasm. Yes, this is my life, this is my family. It's not about what you're sharing, but it's the fact that you're sharing. And Dadi had so much joy. There was so much joy, and there was so much brotherhood and so much love. And okay, let's have a picnic, to just get that energy. And I think it was more the energy. We can have so many picnics. We have so many picnics, but it was her power and her energy that got everyone kind of in a fun mood and everyone being happy and joyous. So in this example, the two sisters that were, not having an argument. So as the chief head, of course, sometimes the big boss gets cold and she has to sort it out. So she found a way. She said, okay, what am I going to do? I'm going to, her favorite place, Angan Mein Chai. So she would call them in the courtyard, let's all have tea together. When a senior calls you, especially when there's something going on in your life, you're probably like, what is she going to say? What's going to happen? Perhaps, that's what they would have thought as well. Dadi just said, come have chai. They sat, and maybe there were others as well, but three of them sat. The two sisters who were having a bit of an argument, Dadi sat, they were having nice chai, and Dadi just spoke of Baba and Murli. Nothing related to their argument, nothing with a hidden agenda to Sometimes we also use gyan to preach people, many times. And again, it's not wrong, it's not wrong, but sometimes it's not, it's not sinister, but it can be a little bit heavy for someone who's already going through that. And, many times I see in Murli classes, especially, when teachers have known the students for some of the instrument teachers have known the students for so long, in Murli classes, they will call out, there's a line in the Murli where Baba has said, and they will call out that, see brother X, this is what Baba is saying, see brother Y. So that's kind of a way, perhaps an ego way to, to get that person to listen to you. So you're not really sharing gyan from a pure heart. You're just kind of sharing it because you want what you believe is right to be heard, which I think Dadi never did. Dadi never did. Dadi lived Gyan. Gyan, Murli, Yog is for who? It's for me. Dadi lived. Baba's Murli is for me. I'm the number one student. I have to grasp everything Baba tells me. Everything else is secondary. Everything else is secondary. So I have to be very clear what Gyan is for, who Gyan is for, and it's every single line is for me. Sometimes while listening to the Murli, we dismiss sometimes a few lines, or we'll say, oh, this was relevant in the 60s, it's not relevant now. I often wonder if God is teaching me, if Bhagwan is teaching me, God is teaching me, the Almighty, the Supreme Teacher, the Supreme Guide, He's teaching me, this soul who has become impure, would there be a little bit more wisdom in His teaching methods beyond my methods, beyond the capacity of what my intellect can understand? So if I understand I am not yet as pure as I can be, I have a lot of things to work through. So maybe a way to work through them is to just trust God more. If Baba has said this particular line, it's for me. It's not for that X, Y, and Z. It's not for someone else. Sometimes, we go, obvious line, this person never does that. So we, we divert my precious energy, my precious thoughts, my precious time to someone else. They should listen to this line, which is probably coming from a good space, a good heart, that I want them to have the benefit as well. But at that time, when I am listening and churning, when it's my time to study, this is my time. If God has chosen X Murli, X words to be said at this particular time, they are for me. So Dadi was number one student. She would sit, whatever Baba said, it's my time. Gyan was never used as a ego facade or as a balloon to kind of get people to do what I want. Challenges, she never scared away from. So with the sisters, when she sat, they were having lovely tea. She just chit-chatted about Gyan that was her core. They were just speaking about Gyan. She wasn't saying, you do this, you don't do that. See, Baba's this point, this applies to this sister, that applies to that sister. Baba says, no, it was just pure energy of Baba. She loved Gyan. So her way of teaching wasn't to teach someone else. It was just to live and breathe those vibrations. So as a boss, as the high manager, working out the discord between two other managers, if we can put it in a worldly way, she just spoke of Gyan. She lived Gyan. Those vibrations, she emitted those vibrations. And then, and then it's each one's fortune how they took it. And the story goes that those two sisters, because Dadi took them in such a high place of soul power, it wasn't just a brain churning, soul power, she took them there. And of course, they are wise senior sisters as well. So when you are up there, when she took them up there with her love for Gyan, with her power, with her vibration, and zero ulterior motives, zero intention to change anyone. Because if you have that, that's a little black mark on your intention. She did not carry that in her whole life. She was a number one student. She was a great administrator, wonderful administrator. She would never run away from anything, iron fist, but she was always the #1 student for Baba. She said, this birth, she lived and breathed. This birth Baba has given me to make the most of. So when you're living and breathing that, those sisters pick up those vibrations. And when someone's taken you higher, when do you fight? When you're a little bit hurt or you're a little bit lower. So Dadi had that power. Dadi had that wisdom to take them higher up. She could see this is what they need. This is what they need. They're senior sisters. They know Gyan. They recognize Baba. They would get it. So she took them higher up, and then obviously, after a while, the sister's like, actually, wasn't that big of a deal. One sister says, actually, yes, Dadi, it's not that big deal. We can figure it out. We'll sort it out. Don't worry. So her practical ways, and again, these become stories much later, but the foundation of her existence, when we Nirikshan kare Dadi ki zindagi ka, investigate how she lived moments in her life, became Dadi much later. Of course, always had the potential, but then how did she live each moment of her life right from beginning throughout her tenure from 1969. And she wasn't the oldest, of course, even in the Yagya, she wasn't the most experienced when Baba left the body, but Baba, of course, sees the soul. Baba sees the soul and Baba sees the potential. Anything, even in management now, they say, any hard skills can be taught. What they look for, good companies look for is soft skills. Someone who's got, a way to mold. They've got a way with people, be sweet about them. So, of course, Baba picked up on that as well in 69. And, just a series of events. Of course, all of us know the story. It was a series of events because it was meant to be Dadi. And Dadi was probably in her late 40s, I think 47, 48 or something, which is not young, but according to the Yagya, wasn't the oldest. And she didn't have the most admin world. She ran a few centers. Baba would send her to different centers to do this, do that, but she did not have the most experience of all of them. But Baba chose her, and then I think, of course, there's stories of humility and how she had to. But then again, another one of her qualities when she says Haji, when Baba said something, Baba said, and being extremely humble in learning as well. Throughout the Yagya, we've had so many big challenges, like Shantivan when it was opened. Many people, starting from these few little Panda Bhavan, 10 people sitting, 5 people sitting, to getting a little bigger Gyan Sarovar. And now Shantivan, which was a huge campus. A huge campus where? In the middle of a desert. Adivasi area with no councils, not much water, no garbage. Even now, it's not that good. Of course, our campus is great, Shantivan is, but outside life is, councils just picking up roads and, getting the water supply, electricity supply. That's all work in progress. But, so there was a bit of, not resistance, but of course it's a question, right? Where are you going to get the funds? We didn't even have that many students at that time. And of course, now there's lakhs, millions of us, 25, 28,000 of us get together now. But at that time, it wasn't that. It was just a it was a barren land. And the first one they had was a Mela, a festival that was just in tents, where they just kind of do everything with everything on the way. So when Shantivan, and everyone said it was too big. But Dadi, again, going back to being the instrument and having a very Vishal Buddhi, a very wide intellect. She said, well, if the world is growing, you see everyone, you've got 2 people, then they have children, the world is growing. I can imagine that Baba's home is also going to grow. And there was, at that time, if you take your intellect back in the 90s, when 97 was it, Shantivan got, open when Dadi decided. Of course, we didn't have the funds, we didn't have that, but again, it was Dadi's, and I think intuition, learning to also be courageous with listening to your intuition as well, and being very in tune with Baba. So That's how Shantivan happened. And there were many times, there's political threats. So, there's times that when the government comes and checks the organization, as they should, because then they don't know what's going on and how we operate and what the agendas are. And, very much especially when you start to grow. So, and Dadi kind of just held her authority, but also humility, and also not seeing challenge as something drastic. If a challenge comes, it's a challenge, right? But then on a spiritual journey, it's just another day. It's just another day for you. You've done your Amrit Vela, you've got your power, and you've been given homework in the Murli, what you need to work on. So regardless of what's happening inside, outside, that side, you kind of just take the day as it comes. Now I will ask, it's 10 o'clock, so it's been half hour. Would we want to, of course, there's so many stories, and when Dadi would say, each one, she had so many lovely slogans. And personally, we've met so many instruments that say that they would not have been a Brahma Kumari, they would not have been on a journey if it wasn't for Dadi. Dadi had so much faith in people. Dadi had so much respect for people. It wasn't just, there was a time when were the two sisters that first went to London, she gave them 5 rupees each. Jao London. So not waiting for resources to come so I can start my journey. I have to be on the journey. Baba has given me the homework for today. I am continuing. I am walking. I am running. I am flying. I am on my journey. Whatever happens, I have to have the faith it's the best for me. Whether things work out, and many times, we hear those stories. It was tough. Then if you hold your patience, of course, and of course, that is life. If you have enough patience, if you have enough, vigor, something will work out. So those two sisters she sent to London with 5 rupees each. What are you going to get with 5 rupees? So it wasn't the monetary value. It was more a symbol of courage. That this is your stamp, you take your 5 rupees each, something will work out. Something will work out, but you be okay to be on the journey with Baba, and you be okay to have trust in Baba. It eventually will happen. Those maybe the 2 days you had to sleep under a tree or you had to go hungry are very difficult. It's not easy. So many Dadis share their examples like that. It's not easy, but that trust and that courage. And then, of course, something happens, and then they got offered accommodation within 2 days, and someone bought them sacks of rice, and then, someone bought them all of that happens. But then Dadi, not just for herself, she also saw courage in others as well. Nirmala Didi, she would share, and each one came from we have sanskars, we have the environment we grow up in. Like Nirmala Didi, she grew up in a completely different environment to what she became and grew up, and what the lioness she became. It was such a protected, lovely environment, had never gone anywhere and all of that stuff. But Dadi saw, no, you go. And also not having the courage to send them is another thing that's right. And also because you have to face, if you've taken such big actions as well, they can be a little bit of push and pull. Each child needs a mother as well, right? So if she sent someone away and they're having a tough few months, tough few years, tough few weeks, she was there to guide them. But she also had enough trust in them. She trusted them as well to let them be on their journey as well. To let them walk and fall and walk and fall, because that's the good sign of a mother. Dadi was a perfect mother as well. It was so easy for her to love and just hold her child close to her heart. She loved that. Let's go picnic. Yes, you come here. Yes, we'll do this. She loved the Dadis, the Didis that set up the world later so much. She gave them so much, but she also loved them enough to go, no, you can do it. It will be tough. I am here if you need to write a letter. I am here for you. But I love you enough to let you, because she could see the potential. A lot of them did grow to that potential. I'm sure a few of them did not as well. So there are both sides as well. But Dadi just kept going what her intuition showed, and being a good mother in that sense as well. As a good mom does, as a good mother does, holding them close, giving them warmth, but also letting them fly a bit and fall a bit and get hurt a bit, because that's their journey to learn as well. Okay, I'll pause for a bit. If we want to, I'm sure a few of us have many stories to share with her. And if we can keep it brief, so then we can also respond to each other. Would someone like to share something?
Om Shanti, sister. I think, yes, I totally agree with Dadi's approach towards the problem solving. When the complainants used to come with the complaints or issues or any kind of problems, she knew the fact that the problems are created at a lower energy level because of some kind of overthinking or some kind of a negative thinking or seeing at others' weaknesses. And then so the level of energy has to be raised, and then only the holistic solution emerges. And that's exactly what she used to do. And yeah, so that was a good example you brought out, and it's actually practically very true. Om Shanti.
Yes.
Om Shanti, Harman sister.
Om Shanti, sister.
I'll try to be very brief, but you have just opened my heart. I don't know how to tell you. For me, it's so many amazing experiences close to my heart. Even though I was a double foreigner, I was under Dadi Janki. I felt very, 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 very close to Dadi Prakashmani. In fact, when I've just handed over my life to her, and I did what she told me. Not an inch did I go. It was as if she was my Shrimat. And whenever I met her, it's not like a student, it's like a granddaughter meeting a grandmother. I used to go there, I used to hug, and always to support me in that Choti Mohini was there. She used to support, whether it's a group photo, I can tell you so much. I used to place when there's a group photo, I took it very clear to sit next to her down so that I could place my head on her lap, her welcome hug, her kishmish way when she gave farewell. And when I went, like a baby, I used to get the tears in the corner of my eyes so much. Her role when I heard of her story, how Baba handed over, that is, even though I have not seen it, I loved always her silver hair, and I used to admire that silver hair. And I used to tell Dadi, when I become old, no, even I want your hair like yours. And she used to sit in that courtyard, next to Nirvair Bai's room. She had a head bath, as if she's got a big tress or something. She used to take that hair of hers and in the sun. And I used to pull a chair behind her and sit. And I used to love that she said, usko bula, usko bula. People who are going, she'll say, usko bula. And then I used to bring that person there. I so much more I can tell you, sister, and her love for entertainment. Yes, she used to say, Chalo, party chale, and there was a traveler kind of van. We used to go. She used to make so many things. She used to play cricket, and I've seen her and all. I said, Dadi, aap cheating kar rahe, ye out hai aap. I had so many of that, and she used to get wet like a baby in the rain. I still have those photographs and all where she admires and all. She loved she was different. She was not scholarly. It's not that I sit with her whenever she speaks that I take a book and write down what she's saying, as we see with Dadi Janki and all. No, she was something different, sister. And Raham Dil, which Om Bai has said, there were people who have really broken the gyan and all I have seen. I thought they are going to get shoutings. Nay, acha. But she was firm. She said, Go back to wherever you are and come back only when you're clear. That one firmness she had, So the way she handled the issues and all, and her drishti. For me, her drishti was not, it was something of love. I've had so much of those dishti, so much at the end when she left her body, I was there. I was there and I got that Rakhi from her. I think the Dr. Gupta, Satish Gupta has got that experience to give. So it's okay, sister. I know if there are so much I can share, but I'll stop here. Till now, when I go to a memorial there, I really go down and hug that tomb over there. I said, Dadi. And I think probably hers was the first memorial next to Brahma Baba. Uh, my heart is full, Arman sister. If you ask me about Dadi Ji, the only one who's called Dadi Ji. I love you, Dadi. I love you a lot. I can tell more. It's full, Arman sister. Thank you, Baba. Thank you, Dadi.
Thank you, sister. What a lovely, and I will also add to that, that is probably one of the very few souls that, I know of anyway, that she's got a way to get everyone, and it's not ki bado ke saath bade, choto ke saath. It's just her heart was so pure, she connected so naturally. And again, I will bring it back to, because we want to learn from that, don't we? If we admire someone, as a BK, we want to learn. And, Baba has placed these role models in my life to, if I am, it's great to, revere them and go, wow, Dadi, but what can I learn from that? Dadi showed her life was an open book. Yeah, as was, she truly followed Brahma Baba, as was Brahma Baba's. Her life was an open book. You come and learn what you want to learn. It's great to pray, and that's what we do in Bhakti, get a puja thali, go, Dadi, you're great, which is so lovely. But we have to learn, how did she become like that? As well as, having this pure love for her, because Dadi is incredible, her love, her motherly love, her personal purusharth, her tapasya. Her personal purusharth was so intense, so deep. Everything was, what is it teaching me? What does Baba want me to learn? And then her administration as well. Her administration, and I think it was in the 70s. And, because when the yajna suddenly grows, you've got systems in place. But when something grows as an organization, so many things need to be becomes chaotic, that's growing, this is here, that, everything kind of just becomes a pile on. So I think maybe someone, said that to her, and she sat down. She would just sit and make proper notes as an administrator as well. She wrote down, I think 3 or 4 hours is the story, that she sat down and she wrote each department. She categorized each department. She categorized each work that needed to be done. So she made proper departments. Then she would call a meeting, and meeting in the sense, it was always a gathering. It wasn't like, Dadi never operated from a point of, I am higher, you know. She never did. It was one big family where everyone's got their own specialities. So departments were given to specialities, according to specialities. What's my sanskar? Not according to how senior I am, or how much I boast, or how much I currently have. My potential and my sanskars, this person would fit in this department. They would be very good in handling this in this particular way. Not the hard skills, but what, and then of course, if you look at it from a purely administrative point of view as well, look at where our organization, just as a pure organization, how is it running now? Dadi sowed those seeds. And he came again with a little bit of courage and wisdom and the power to trust others as well. And if you ever listen to, an interviews of Dadi, she would, itne pyar se, she would say, meetha bhai, mere meethe bhaiya. And that even just few words, sometimes it just touches the core of your heart. Administrative, but with, a perfect balance of both, because her living was very clear. I live from a space as a BK student. That was her number one thing, is, what I can imagine. She was always a student. She was always with Baba. It was Baba's time. It was, what is Baba's doing? What is Baba's task? What does Baba want this soul to do? What does Baba want this? The 50 people that are with me, what does Baba want each soul to do? What does Baba want the world to do? So having a micro setting as well, what do I need to work on, but then also having a very huge large, massive intellect, and what does the world need to work on as well. So she was very finely attuned to that. And these things come when you're focused, when you value your time, when you value your breath, when you value each word that you speak, each word that you hear. What do you hear? How do you hear it? Why do you hear it? Foundation is Murli. If I can be fortunate enough as a BK, and I think we feel that and Dadi embody that if I am fortunate enough to become a BK, to get the fortune of Baba's words going directly into here so they can clean this, chitta saaf kar, they're cleaning my intellect, they're filling my mind, they are filling my soul, they are, rejuvenating everything about me, they are filling my whole kalpa up. If I am fortunate enough for that, how should I be living my life? And I think Dadi really showed that. And then again, what Girija's sister was sharing, then later it becomes stories. Later it becomes that I love Dadi. Everyone loved to be in her company. Everyone wanted to be part of her. So they become later, but her foundation, her tapasya was very accurate. And she took the courage to be an administrator through all the chaos. The organization has also gone through so many ups and downs, and she was very firm as well. And again, very personal and subjective to not being what will they think, how will, if they would say, oh, that person Dadi was very lenient with, and another one she's doing that. What did that soul need? What did the yagya need? A balance of both. So if that soul was needed, sometimes the soul needs to go out. So there were many times when someone was being they were told to leave the yagya because that was the right thing for them and the yagya. Because if you are creating, my understanding, if you create chaos in the yagya, that's a very heavy burden. That's going to pull you down even lower. So it's better that you go out in the world and do your thing that you need to. But then she also knew who needed to be. So if someone done a mistake, she also knew where it needed to be. She knew that soul had the power to let it go or cleanse it themselves. And there was a little time in Panda Bhavan, one brother, he left the iron on, the pressing iron, kapde press karte karte, to raat ko he left it on. So what happens when, and those were the big heavy irons, not today's modern ones that auto switch off. So I left it on, and, they used to usually place it on a stone, but he must have left it on like cloth. So he left it on, and then what happens after a while, in the middle of the night, there's a fire. The fire, and then there's a bit of, all the brothers wake up, aag lagi. So, Dadi would wake, Dadi got up, a little gown, apna shawl leke, she walked there with Mundi probably, Mundi holding her hand, she would say, if you've done that, if it was your mistake and, the head of your organization comes, you might get a bit scared. Like, what is she ever going to get complained? Should be careful. Why weren't you so conscious? How can you, see how much damage you've done? Could have done that. Dadi just came very silently. Saw, she got up to see what had happened, to get her energy be known. So she got up to see, and then she just, as Dadi would do, I think we've seen Dadi just, she would give Ashirwad, it's okay, it's okay. So just pure vibrations, because that's what's needed. And again, these become stories later. But then how do I want to be inspired with Prakash Mani Dadi? I would love to write a book. I would love to make a movie. I would, and there are many books and movies and DVDs and all of that, which is lovely. But a purely perfect soul becomes more happy when you become like them, is what I would imagine. If Dadi is exemplifying, and any good mother, any good sister, any good friend would get so, and with pure wishes would get so happy that I am rising to their level. Their existence, their examples, their living, then the tapasya ka phal, their tapasya, someone else is able to be inspired by them. I can use that high energy power. I think that would make Dadi really happy. Like the example we shared with the two sisters having the discord, and Dadi just shared the love she had for Baba to ignite what they have as well. So really sit down if you have the time and sit with Dadi. I will also share, there was a time, most centers I live alone in. So there was a time when this was a place I hadn't really been to, so I wasn't very comfortable. So what I did was I just went to the printer and I got huge flexes printed. So most of them were like floor to ceiling, like quite long ones of, Dadi, Mama, Sakar Baba, Bab Dada, all of them. And there was a huge one, the lovely photo. We all know that favorite photo of Dadi. She's sitting like this. So I would often sit, when I'd have my meals, I would often sit in front of that photo. And that was just before the time, I'd heard so many stories of Dadi, of people have, personal Dadi did this for us, Dadi did that for us. I've heard, I've actually met anti-BKs, that, have a lot of websites going against and a lot of agenda against the BK organization. They had such lovely things to say for Dadi. For Dadi, they could not say anything for some reason. And, for me as a child, as a young, it really got my interest kind of peaked. Go, who is this Dadi? Everyone loves her. And then I would complain, Baba, I never got to meet her. And, suddenly and this was a gradual journey as well, that I go, well, Baba says we are souls. So my connection is to the soul, not to the body. Something that is the smaller, more essential something is, the more powerful it is. Okay, so I did not get as much interaction with Dadi in the physical, this birth. Previous births, I'm sure I have. This birth I didn't. So I wanted to connect. I said, everyone's got such wonderful, lovely stories with Dadi. I don't know Dadi. So what I did, that big poster I had, I just sat in front of it and I spoke to my ancestor, to my big Dadi, to my big mother, to my I just spoke to her and I built a personal relationship. And it really worked. And it really worked. And, and it taught me so much about how I can also, because a relationship is two-way, right? I'm not talking to a poster. Poster is just a poster. There's no life in it, but I'm creating those using that photo to create vibrations. And she is kind enough, she was kind enough, she is kind enough to reciprocate that relationship. So really, after a few, I don't know how long, but maybe a few months, I really feel I have a personal relationship with her. So it's good to use. And what are they? What do these senior ones do? What does Baba do? What does Mama do? Their only aim is to push you towards your completion, your purity, to make your bond stronger to Shiv Baba. So if I'm building a relationship with my ancestor, and that is such a powerful thing to do, she's just going to push me towards Shiv Baba. She's not taking me away from, Baba says, when we started this talk, it was Ma Mekam Yad Karo, just remember me. My whole life journey is just about Baba, Baba, Baba. But we are humans. We love to interact. We interact regardless of if we want to or not. It's not possible to be a complete sannyasi, as Baba would say. Even if you're sitting in the middle of jungle, you're interacting with nature, you're interacting with insects. Your body has become as a part of two people interacting and giving you that body. You are there's emotions, there are feelings, there's vibrations. So we're constantly interacting. Who I want to interact with, who I want to build my relationship with, and how I want to do that is completely up to me. So from this little example, Dadi is there just like Baba is there. She's complete, as we know, even though she's in a body, she's, whatever percentage, 99.9% or whatever, she's there for me. And if I'm wise enough, I will use that energy. Why will I not? Why should I not? Of course, it's not about getting brownie points that, I sing praises of Dadi and I think I'm going to get an extra gold star and that's going to wipe off my karma. Maybe it will. But I want that relationship. What do I want? You choose. get a piece of paper, get a photo, sit in front of Dadi if you like. It's a powerful month. Sit in front of Dadi. Dadi, what do you want me to do? What do you want from my life? How do you see? If I see her as a mother, how does a mother want her child? Mama, Dadi, how do you want me to do? How do you want me to change this? What would you like from my life? And I can promise you, you will have such a lovely, lovely experience and a powerful one. Because that's all Dadi does. She gives power and energy and love, and she will. If you assign her, if you let her and you tell her, Dadi, help me, she will. She will take you, as she has to so many others. She will take you to your complete stage. She will help you, because that's all angels do. Angels are there to help. Learn to use their power. Learn to use their power. Write a letter. Sit in front of their photo. Build a relationship. So with those good wishes, I hope we make the most of this wonderful, wonderful month. And this wonderful, wonderful 25th August especially. Learn from her and help my life grow. So good wishes to all of us, and all the best to our fellow lovely Brahmin souls. Okay, I'll just read what's in the chat box. Anyone else want to share? Om Bhai has written, high energy words like meethe bhai, meethe behan, etc. are bahut achhe and so on are elevated and powerful words that create a high energy zone where problems vanish and a clear holistic solution automatically emerges. 100%, 100%. She took everyone on a higher energy, took everyone. So we are also like that. We have the potential. We just need to be more like that. Use what we have. Use Dadi. Acha. Om Shanti. Should we finish with a minute of silence? Is that okay? Okay, so let's invoke our sweet, sweet Dadi. Rebuild my relationship with her. Prakash Mani, the jewel of light. Successor Brahma Baba. Okay, thank you everyone. Have a lovely Sunday. Powerful month. Om Shanti. See you again next time. Om Shanti.
Om Shanti. Thank you to Baba. Thank you, Herman sister. Thank you, Divine Family. See you tomorrow at 5 a.m. Until then, have a blissful day.